When I think of classic fall builds in The Sims 4, I'm picturing Tudors and craftsmen and cottages. I am not picturing modern. So that is exactly what I am going to attempt to do today. I guess we can just dive right into the speed build. This is my first official full-length speed build. I did have to briefly cut one into my very first video here on YouTube because I was still learning and my camera had cut out while I was filming, so we made do. But that was a good little, trial run, and then this is the real thing. You can see that I'm building this on the Dock Den lot in Windenburg. I would normally build anything mid-century or modern in Oasis Springs, probably, but I wanted the fall vibes. I wanted the trees to start changing color, and you can already see we've got leaf piles in the background, and the trees have turned kind of reddish orange, so that was the vibe I was going for. I was really happy I built it here. And it's also on that island in Windenburg where there's already a lot of modern homes, so this actually kind of fits in really nicely. I never actually play on this island. I've never had a sim live here, but after building this, I kind of want to. It's such a cool place, and there's all these little fishing spots and people walking around, and the vibes are just, they're good over here. Get Together was actually one of the very first packs that I bought. I just started playing The Sims probably within the last 4 or 5 years. I have slowly but surely been collecting all of the DLC, and let me tell you, that is a process. If you're brand new to The Sims, like if you were to start playing The Sims today, all of the DLC is, I think, well over $1,000. It might even be close to $2,000 full price. So that is a huge undertaking, and I don't have $2,000 just lying around. So I started only ever buying packs on sale, which I think was the right move because I'm not gonna pay $40 for Get to Work. And fun fact, I still don't even have Get to Work yet. I've been yapping and not talking about the actual house, but you can see I put in a really random fence. That was just so I could sink a platform down into this kind of weird shape. I wanted a sunken living room, and I knew that I wanted a fireplace. So that's how we ended up with this odd kind of shape so that I could get the fireplace and the Sims would still be able to light it, which I did not think that they were gonna do if they only had like this bit of walking space. I also put down these dark green couches from the Refined Living Room kit. I've said it before, but all of the creator kits are my absolute favorite, and this one is no exception. The colors are on point, and of course there's a matching sofa, love seat, chairs, everything matches, which we don't often get that with the EA team. You can see I didn't know what to do with these kind of side little wings on either side of the fireplace, so I decided to go with these planters. I think they're from Growing Together, and I never use them, but I thought that they actually looked really good, and I think in mid-century homes, a lot of times you'll find built-in indoor planters, which is a dream. I would love to have an indoor planter like that. I also extended the whole thing. This was probably so unnecessary for me to do because the rooms ended up being giant, like truly giant. But that's a problem for Toasty in the future. I went ahead with the Home Chef Hustle counters. That was a pack that I actually ended up buying pretty soon after it came out. I've only ever bought 2 packs full price, and that was Life and Death and Businesses and Hobbies, and I still stand by those 2 purchases. I really like the early purchase content from both of them, even though I have mixed feelings about early purchase content. As someone who started playing The Sims a little later, I've missed out on so many cute things. That bike from Cottage Living, oh man, it still hurts my feelings that I don't have that bike. And Cottage Living was actually, I think, the first piece of DLC that I ever bought for this game, but I don't have the bike still, and that hurts my feelings. In the build, you can see I switched the floors to be this like brighter, more cherry, orangey colored wood tone. I never ever use this color wood, but I thought that it really worked with the like kind of autumn vibes that I was going for. I wanted everything to feel really warm and cozy. So I switched from the cooler tone wood to the warmer tone wood. And then I used the bar height table that came with Businesses and Hobbies, but I knew that I wanted to do something different for the chairs. And we are really lacking in bar stools in this game, like really lacking in bar stools. So I ended up on a whim trying the spa day bar stools, which I don't think I've ever used a day in my life. And they matched perfectly. It looks like this is a whole table set that you could go and buy at a store. So I was really pleased. This area though, this little wall, I did this so that I could have some kind of separation between the two spaces, but I wanted it to still feel very open, which is obviously a common trait of modern homes, is that it's all very open plan. So I wanted to keep the open feeling, but I wanted some kind of a divide. And on the living room side, I put bookcases. But on the kitchen side, I could not decide what to do. And I really wanted to kind of create some sort of built-in looking thing. I think you see this a lot in old mid-century homes where they've got like a built-in desk in the kitchen and it all looks seamless with the counters. Doing that in The Sims is obviously a lot harder, so you can see me struggling. And in-game, this actually probably took me 30 minutes to finally decide what to do. I clicked on so many items. I even cut out some things that I tried before I finally landed on this little hall table that came with Dream Home Decorator. Also one of the packs that I bought pretty early on. So I found the table that I wanted, but then I did not know how to make it look built in. And so honestly, I gave up after trying so many things. Nothing was looking the way that I wanted it to. So I said, you know what, let's just kind of push the table against the wall. It looks like it's built in, I think. I added a little chair. Obviously, this is not functional because that is not a real dining table, and your sim will not be able to sit in that chair. But I liked the idea that this was like a little phone corner where you could sit on the phone, and I put the little post-it thing with pens so you could take notes. Then moving on to the first bedroom, I'm calling this the green room. I wanted to keep it really neutral. Normally, I would say, okay, this is a room for kids, and I would go all in on decorating it for a child. For some reason with this build, I wanted it to feel really neutral, like it could be a guest room or it could be a teen's room, or you could add a couple toys and make it a kid's room. I just wanted it to be kind of a blank slate. So I didn't actually add all that much clutter where I normally would. But you can see I used the Businesses and Hobbies dresser. Again, that wood matched perfectly. So I have that on the side. I used a nice big double bed. I try to use double beds if I have enough room, and because I made this room gigantic, I have more than enough space. And then I added a little desk and I shoved it into the wall and into the dresser a little bit to, again, get that kind of like built-in look. And I actually think it's pretty cute. This house is not play tested though, let me tell you. By the time I finished, for some reason, I was just struggling with the modern build so much, and this color scheme is like way out there for me. I normally do things that look a little bit more normal, I guess, versus this like dark green paint that we have going on. I forgot what I was saying. By the time I finished this build, I was like, I am done. I did not want to play test it, so I'm sure it'll work. I mean, your sim has enough space to sit there, and you know, I shove things into the walls all the time in this game and it's never a huge issue. I decided instead of a computer, I would just put that little notebook. There's actually, I guess besides the TV in the living room, there is no computer in this build, which I guess is maybe period accurate. For the bathroom, I used this funky floor tile. I almost never use this floor tile because it doesn't have any kind of matching wall tile, but I thought, you know, let's go for it. You can see I did a little raised platform on the side, and that is just gonna become a little raised shower. I love doing this trick ever since we got the sleek bathroom kit with those glass dividers. It's my favorite thing. I think it looks so good, so realistic, and it makes the bathrooms just more interesting, where normally in my Sims builds, I breeze through them. I don't waste any time in the bathroom. I don't clutter them very often. For this one, I thought, you know, let's do a nice built-in shower. I also did a platform where the tub is, so it's a nice big step up, and I wanted that to feel very spa-like and serene, and I think I cut it out, but I looked at the view. Like, if you were to sit in that tub and look out, you've got the most beautiful view of the ocean, and you can't even really see the neighbors, so I feel less bad about not putting curtains across the whole thing. I also tried using the other version of the shower divider that came with Sleek Bathroom. I'm gonna change that in a couple of seconds, and I end up using those like wooden slats. We've gotten wooden slats in multiple packs now, which is crazy. I think we have them from Get Famous, we have them from Eco Lifestyle. It's kind of nuts. It's like, how many of these do we really need? But you know, I'm not complaining. That red wood color matched really nice, so I added those, and I think that actually looks nice and maybe leans a little bit more mid-century than what the other one did. You can see I'm just kind of cluttering. I do a classic shelf at the foot of the bathtub as like a little tray. That's it for the bathroom. Watching this speed build back, it's actually hilarious how much time I spend digging through the catalog. I have Better Build Buy installed by Twisted Mexi. It's a pretty popular mod that allows you to organize the catalog a little bit better, and you can include debug items in the main catalog, so you don't have to type in the cheat, and you're able to shift place multiple items that are debug, which you normally can't in without the mod. And you can also eyedropper items. So it's really nice, but that makes your catalog absolutely chaotic and crazy sometimes, so you end up scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. I'm slowly trying to memorize the name of items that I use frequently so I can just quickly search them up, like the glass walls in the shower. I actually don't know where those even live in the catalog. I'm assuming it's probably miscellaneous decor, but instead of scrolling, I know that I can type the word invisible and they will pop straight up. So I'm trying to be better about that. And I guess there maybe is a world in which I get rid of Better Build Buy, but oh man, the thought of like landscaping without it seems horrendous, because I shift click and I eyedropper landscaping items all the time, so it just makes it so much easier. You can see I'm in the primary room now, and this room was giving me so much trouble. I decided to go for this super dark kind of maroon paint on the walls. I had to switch the bed, so I switched it to this one from Growing Together because I thought the reds kind of looked nice. I used the most random end table from, I think this is City Living. Never used those before, never used these lights from Spa Days before, but I just thought, you know, maybe I'll switch it up. And you can see I tried to do some built-in things in this room along the fireplace, and I tried behind the bed, but it just wasn't working the way that I wanted. I kind of think that that's maybe a downfall of the game and some of the items we have. I wish that there was more modular furniture. Like, we got that with Dream Home Decorator, so you can do huge like closet systems and bookcases and all sorts of things, but the color options are not my favorite, and I just think we could use more variety, especially when you're trying to do like mid-century homes where built-ins are such a huge part of the home. You'll see me struggling along this wall with not knowing what to put. I ended up giving up on all the built-in ideas. I put these two little chairs and a big plant to try and fill up some space, but I end up walking away from this wall because I had stared at it for so long it was making me mad. So I went and moved to the backyard. I have a pretty small little patio area, and then I decided that it might be nice to have a little fountain in the ground right next to it. This also seems very quintessential mid-century modern to me, and I don't know what my point of reference is, but I just have this thing in my head of indoor planters and also like indoor fountains, but this one's outside. On the patio, I was initially thinking, oh, I'll do lounge chairs, And then I remembered that this is supposed to be a fall build, so I went with a little fire pit instead, which I think is a little bit more thematically appropriate. And then I used the little desert luxe couches, which are not actually my favorite for this build, but there was really nothing else that was jumping out at me that felt like outdoor furniture and still had that mid-century vibe. So listen, I didn't fight with it for too long. But you do see me fighting with not knowing what to put on this side of the patio. I felt like it needed something because it feels very flat right now. I ended up adding a roof, and then I did a couple little skylights in the roof as well. So I think that looks really cute. But this whole little side behind the couches was just feeling very empty. So I messed around with it for long enough and then I walked away. You'll see me jumping around a lot from here on out in the build. This is actually so hilarious to watch back because in the moment I don't really realize that I'm doing it. I'm just, building here and then I move to another room and move back. But watching it in a speed build, it's crazy. I don't think I finish a single room from start to finish without going back and adding something or taking something away. I'm all over the place. It's like my object permanence is not very good. So we're back in the kitchen now randomly after starting on the outside. And you can see I'm cluttering some of these shelves that I did. I kind of liked the asymmetry of them. That's kind of a theme in this build. You saw I did it with the roof and I'm doing it here with the shelves. I think it just looks kind of realistic, or it looks weird and I'm in too deep, and that's perfectly fine too. I don't think I talked about the little built-in bar that I did in the very beginning. Looking at it now, I actually love the way that it turned out with the neon sign and the hanging wine bottles. I think that's really cute. I again used some of those slats. Looking at it now, I'm wondering why I didn't change the color of those slats to match more of the wall, and I'm realizing that I kept them that color so that they matched the bar because we don't have a matching bar with the Home Chef Hustle kitchen, so I had to make do. For this little corner, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I ended up remembering that we have this adorable little plant stand from Blooming Rooms, which is a kit that I actually got for free, which is perhaps the benefit of, well, I don't want to say it's a benefit, but because I started playing so late and I didn't have all of the packs already, like when they were released, EA gave away a few packs. They gave away My First Pet stuff, which yay. They gave away Blooming Rooms, they gave away the Romantic Gardens, so I've gotten a couple things for free from EA, which is nice. And you can see we're back in the primary room. It is actually crazy how much I bounce around. I would love to know how you build. Like, do you also bounce around from 5 different rooms? Or do you like finish a room in its entirety and then move on to the next? Because this feels crazy to me, but I don't know, maybe everyone builds like this. And we're back outside again. I wanted something in this little area. You could see earlier that I was playing around with different plants. Nothing looked right. So I came back to it and I thought maybe some kind of divider would look good. Ultimately, I tried these hanging plants. I think these are from Jungle Adventure, which, by the way, is such a sleeper pack for me. I don't know any of the lore of when it came out. I don't know what the general public thinks of it, but I love it. I had so much fun playing with it for the first time. My whole story was that my sim had always dreamed of going to the jungle and exploring, but she had no money for the trip, which is maybe a little too like real life. She started selling everything that she crafted and she had like 2 jobs and she saved so much money that finally she got to go to the jungle and she got absolutely obliterated the first time around. She was there for like a week and she had the worst time, but she finally made it into the cave and we made back all our money from unlocking one of the little chest things. I was like, this pack is so fun. And the build buy is really good. I actually use it in so many of my builds. Obviously not something like this, it's a little modern for that, but anytime I'm doing like a Spanish style villa or anything, I'm always using Jungle Adventure. So That was a side tangent. Wow. Okay, ADHD. We're back. You can see that I'm doing the landscaping. I'm keeping it really ultra simple. I'm just adding some bushes, some little low flowers, and then adding rocks. There's a lot of rocks in the environment in this area. And while I'm doing this, those Jungle Adventure vines are bugging me so bad because the green doesn't change with the seasons, which I get why it doesn't. It would be really cool if it did because most plants do change with the seasons, but those don't. And so the bright green ended up just feeling very fake to me, like they hung up a bunch of fake vines. That just is not the vibe that I was going for. You'll see me actually get rid of those in the end, and then on my final attempt to put something in that area, it actually worked out. For this shelf in this weird part of the room that I was really struggling with, I ended up just going for this hanging shelf from Eco Lifestyle. I like the shelf. I don't know if it's necessarily the exact vibe of this build, but I just had to put something on this wall and I was out of ideas. In fact, if you have any ideas for what I should have put on this wall, please tell me because I am still not happy with how that shelf turned out, but we did it anyway. You can see I'm just going around and adding the finishing details and finishing touches around. I added little shoes underneath the bench and just things that I feel like gives the build a little bit more personality. And here you can see I'm looking at the whole build from every angle and I decide, okay, I do in fact hate those vines from Jungle Adventure. So I get rid of those, and then this is what I landed on. I landed on the ivy trellis from, oh gosh, high school years. And then the very last thing that I did, oh my gosh, I just realized that the bathroom is missing part of its ceiling. Oh well. The very last thing that I did was add a glass roof piece in the kitchen. I love how this looks at certain times of day. It just makes the kitchen really glowy and warm. And that is the vibe that we're going for. And I think that's everything. That speed build obviously moved very speedy. So for my dad's sake, because he says that I go too fast in my videos, I'm gonna pop back into the game and show you the build and kind of give you a little tour. If you're wondering who this is Bob the Builder. He is the sim that I play with when I am building new homes. I did this because I kept losing my builds in saves. So I would start something in one save and then I would forget where it was, and then I went to go work on it again and I would have no clue what save it was in. I created Bob the Builder so that I would have one save where I do all of my building. Here she is. I think it actually turned out really cute. I love how simple the front is. We've just got a mailbox and a little light. I think that the windows turned out so nice. I love that you can see into the living room from the top windows. That's just very fun. Ignore the fact that that light is floating though. So starting with the living room, I kept it really simple. There's not a lot of clutter, mostly because I feel like in a mid-century home like this, you're not gonna have stuff just like lying around everywhere. Everything feels very sleek and clean and organized. I do have a TV up here so that your Sims can watch TV. I would never deprive them of watching their shows. On the other side here, I just did the bookcases from businesses and hobbies. Moving on to the kitchen, again, I tried to keep it simple. This was enough with the open shelving above the sink. I think that my favorite part might be the fact that this businesses and hobbies table matches the spa day stools perfectly. I really do feel like this looks like it was meant to be a set, like you would buy this whole thing together, and that was a pleasant surprise. I also love how this bar turned out with the neon sign and the little bottles hanging above it. Over here, despite this little nook giving me so much trouble, I actually think it turned out really cute. I think that the little faux phone table is sweet, and I added a couple little postcards. I kept the hallway really simple with just a little table. Again, this is spa day because the wood matched so nice. In this first room, like I said in the speed build, I wanted to keep it ultra neutral so that anyone could stay here or live here, and you can add your own personal touches if you decide to move in. Moving on to the most giant bathroom in the entire universe. I love the raised platform for the shower, and I guess I can show you the view. Like, wouldn't you love to sit there and read your book and look out at the ocean? Ugh. And then moving on to the primary, which honestly, I don't know if I love this room, to be honest. I feel like none of the black swatches match. I've got the most random rug, random art, this shelf that I didn't even really want, but I felt like this wall needed something. Listen, I tried, okay? I tried to do a warm, fall-inspired mid-century room, and this is what I came up with. Moving to the outside, I have this little covered patio. I really do like how this little pond area came out. I don't love that the foundation is showing there, but we're just going to ignore that. All of the landscaping feels like it matches the environment nicely, and I kind of just love this lot. You're like right next to the beach. You're off on your own. This is truly at the very, very tip of the island. It feels private and it still matches the environment. We've got a modern home over there, a modern home here. So in the end, I'm proud of it. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel already. It's nice to know that people are already liking my content, and it's only up from here. If you enjoyed this video, then go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more from me and follow along on this journey, then please go ahead and subscribe. And until next time, bye. If you just watched me get progressively sweatier during the speed build, I am sorry. I'm trying to get into the fall spirit and do all these fall builds, but it is 90 degrees outside in Southern California where I live. 90 degrees. And I can't run my AC while I'm filming because you can hear the background noise. And my iced coffee, just in the time that I'm sitting here, has a layer of melted water on top. Melted water?